Yeah, there's no handshakes, guys. We're just friendly wave and that's it. Yep.
With a 2-0 bucket, it kicks out his first set. Right there. Asked the question on the second referee. Nice little confident start there from the youngsters. Good for Q to serve now. See the three blocker, couldn't convert, sends it long, level 1 short tour. Good morning, Massimiliano. Nice to see you, sir. Hey-o. Just going long. Lead Lucas Josefsen. Back to the back on there. Powerful swing, high, at the defensive chest. Couldn't control it. 3-point score. 1 away from the first end switch. As he rotates sides, the multiples of 7 for the first 2 sets. A free total. Third and deciding shot, if need be. 15 points, rotating on 5.
Hey, nice one!
There goes long advantage. 2 leads as they go around, 4-3.
If that ball has gone in, I'll eat my hat, but it hasn't. Paul Burnett with a great defensive attempt. Goes long as we're all tied up at 4 points all after the first change of ends. You're watching Mollymook's second round of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour here in the Shoalhaven Shire as a second ball attack gets absolutely shut down by Lucas Josefsen on Chris McHugh, the recent 2020 Tokyo Olympian. You'll see them sporting their Tour Leaders black singlets. A new implementation for the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour this year. Just sort of big dogging ourselves for the men and women in the Tour lead. Keeping it black and classy and slightly scary. And what a great swing, tagging the sideline from Josh Howat. The green machines out there, the AVA athletes, both from Queensland, taking on the might and power of Chris McHugh and Paul Burnett. Fresh off a Cobram gold medal win in the first one. It's going to be Josh Howat of WA to serve. Little top spin. Catching the pass high on Chris McHugh's right shoulder. Speaking of right shoulder, what a huge swing cross court from the #1 player in the country, essentially. but probably the number 8th best mustache on tour at the moment. It's a new thing for him. He's sporting it. It's quite impressive, if I must say it. Must be a dad thing. The new father. Just sending that ball long. Got a little too keen after a big swing. They find themselves in arrears, and they did something similar in Cobram early on a Saturday morning, losing to our previous guest, Marty Kaufer, and his partner, Matt Abella. They lost in 3 sets to those two I just mentioned. There's a chasing scramble from Howat. Can't quite get that controlled defensive back up. And we saw, as I mentioned, Chris McHugh and Paul Burnett lose in 3 sets to Marty and Matt of Victoria. It was a cracking match, but it was early on that Saturday morning. So can the pairing of Howat and Josefsen cash in on something similar here this morning on the shores of the Shoalhaven Shire at Mollymook? Changing ends, 7-all. A young pairing from the AVA of Josh and Lucas, taking on the experience of McHugh and Burnett, who are also essentially a fresh pairing. Coming off a couple of partner changes over the last probably 2 years for Chris, who paintbrushes that one in. He's got a toothbrush on his top lip and a paintbrush for a hand. Smart swing from Josefsen, but the control from Burnett on defense, putting that ball up. First touch on the block, obviously counting as a first touch if you're new to beach volleyball, or just a little confused from maybe your indoor days on beach or at the beach. The block is the first touch. So you've got to get that ball back over within those 3 touches. What a great pass from a cracking serve, and just goes long inside the block of Chris McHugh. Lucas Josefsen, absolute monster out there. It's not often that Paul and Chris are towered over, but Lucas is an absolute beast.
Within 1-9, 7-10.
Up and down, under it.
Howat gets it up. Second touch going deep, and that one going high and tight onto the block, and Josefsen is there. He is an absolute beast, just shy of 7 foot. But he moves so well as well. He's quite a smart young man and reads the play well. We're all tied up, 10-all. Jump serve from Howat. Gets the defense. Great little control of the hands. And this time the single hand of the rolling spike over the top of the Burnett block. And we'll go to a tech timeout. 11 points to 10, first set. Back here on court 1 of the Mollymook Centre Courts. Down here at the Shoalhaven Shire, as you just saw a wonderful advert for them. What an absolutely stunning setting we have for some stunning setting. Some quick court maintenance in that back corner during the technical timeout. We'll come back for the change of ends, and the timeout benefits the boys in black. Fault from Howat. We're all 11. We're all 11s, all legs. Ace for fault, ace for error. The fault coming the way of the boys in green, and the ace coming the way of the lads in black. Jump float from Chris McHugh. Floats it straight down the middle. Tough one, but great swing on 2 from the boys in green. The mean green lean machine. Burnett there for defense, but not able to control it. 12 all. What a set. Paul Burnett. Outrageous, outstanding, and worthy of a replay. So if you're on YouTube, welcome, hello, good morning. But if you can rewind that at any stage or do a replay and just get, I don't know, maybe a still shot or turn it into a boomerang, whatever the kids are doing these days. I'm sure Burnett would love that. Oh, big block, Chris McHugh. Fist pump for Ned Flanders at the net. He did diddly done him good. Oh, and just gets that 2 ball on knuckles to get tooled off the McHugh block. Lucky, yes. Smart, yes. Ooh, a little bit of a fakey little runaround from Chris and Paul. That pass came up and he went to run around behind and double backed, just maybe putting the block and defence on the back foot ever so slightly. And he lets one rip.
Thanks for your support. Jump on the back of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour.
Watch. No, nice.
That's 13. Make the big man go low. Tough control. Advantage by 3 now.
Cross. Nice.
Throws it back. Dropping the right hand in late. And closing and taking the space. 17-13 now.
Big jump serve. Lucas Josefsen. Tooling after a great pass off the McHugh block. Nicely done as they etch slightly closer to the number 1 seeds here in the first set of the second round of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour here at Mollymook. 2 ball finds an outrageous angle and just tags the sideline. Pete Boy, our second referee, calling that one in, and confirmed by our first referee, Grimsey. Great hands from the big man, and another big man, Josh Howat, goes whack straight down in front of the defender. Still a 3-point buffer. Teams going point for point. If the lads in black can keep the green machine at bay and go point for point, they will take out this first set quite easily. Back out to a 4-point lead, and it's Chris McHugh with the honours. What's he got? He's going to go top spin from this end. He went jump float from the other. Just working the conditions nicely to his advantage. And speaking of to advantage, that brings up set point and a change of ends. Possibly a change of fortunes for Howat and Josefsen, but it's going to take a minor miracle to take this one a little closer to the end of the first set here. So set point 2015, McHugh doing the diddly damage. Set point. Jump float, you'll see that change in tactic. Goes high and short. Not the best pass from Josefsen, but he can hang and bang and goes wide to the side, and that is the end of the first set. 21-15, going the way of the number 1 seeds, the tour leaders in Chris McHugh and Paul Burnett. And back after the break, thanks to our wonderful sponsors at Scape, where you can escape and find your own little piece of happiness anywhere around the country. Many locations, just check out Scape. Now we've come back to an ace serve from young Josh Howat. Nice serve again. Just a couple of conditions picking up here. Just a little breezier. Certainly not making things any easier. That was a good setup by myself. Thank you for anybody actually listening. And speaking of a good setup, Chris McHugh to Paul Burnett puts that one away nice and easily. Top spin from Paul Burnett. Nice wrap and snap. Turns that one on to young Howat, but wide to the side. And another one goes the way of Burnett and McHugh. That one goes long to the baseline. Really tried to rip that one. Went the greater angle, but slightly softer on that first serve. But went a shorter, tighter angle and a shorter part of the court. But really powered up. Couldn't quite get it. Another huge back set from Burnett. And the number 1 seed's on transition, using all of the court side to side and putting it down in the sand. Great tempo play by the number 1 seeds. If you're just watching, you'll find that many teams out here will like their chances against the higher ranked opponents, whether that be the number 1 seeds here or any of the others. But all the teams here in Australia tend to match up quite well. There's always a a very scrambly, fast defender and a big blocker at the net. And each team has got their own like unique little advantage somewhere on the court or in the air, obviously. But it's the top teams that tend to control the tempo a little better. And right now it's McHugh and Burnett with the slightest of advantages. Retreating little scooping chicken wing there and just picking the tempo up again. What a great set from Burnett, letting the huge Chris McHugh pump it straight down. And we'll go to a change of ends. 5 points to 2. Chris and Paul really putting the hammer down. They finished really strongly, had a 6-point advantage at the end of that first set, and they've jumped out already. Here in the first 7 points of the second set. McHugh, what's he got? He's gone jump float this time down that far end. We saw the end of the second set. He went the top spin jump serve, the power serve. Touch off the block and then outreached. Chris McHugh doesn't often get that, so he's going to go over whinge to Grimsey. Just asking, was that a block or a throw? Well, considering we're playing beach volleyball, I would suggest it was a block. As would Darren Grimsey, our first referee. One of our more popular figures on tour. And what a figure he cuts. Tight pass from a strong serve, causing the error. Chris getting outreached on the block. Complaining to the referees and then overpassing another one. So not a great run for Chris at the moment, but he sorts himself out like the professional he is. Tight set, gets the scramble, but can't quite get that one back over the top. So the Mean Machine boys in green going 5-all. Nice handy little run, getting themselves out of a bit of a deficit as they dig their way out of a hole. Top spin jump serve from Howat. Goes off pace. Inside set. Turns off the block. Nicely done from Chris McHugh, the ever-professional Chris McHugh. And he just walks over to shape up to say howdy and good morning to Grimsey again. But he's just dusting some sand off and levelling out the court somewhat. So we got just a touch of court maintenance.
Beware of the mic, Chris.
Six points all. Teams trading blows and errors, seemingly at will at the moment. And it's going to be Lucas Josefsen sending that one wide back to our problem area of the court, essentially. It's where the wind is going, and it's also where we're having just a little bit of trouble with the court maintenance and the lines being set up. Chris McHugh back with the honours at the baseline at the far end. He's going topspin this time. I don't know whether it's a tactical move or just because he wants to get some aggression out. And a great off-pace hit from Josh Howat. Nicely done as they'll change ends. 7-all. Again, teams trading blows. Burnett and McHugh changing ends and hopefully changing fortune for them. They saw themselves out with a very handy 3, possibly 4-point lead early stages here in the second set. A nice little topspin jump serve from Howat. inside run from McHugh. Great defense. Into transition. It was a wide set from his partner, and he finds himself on his bum. And the scramble couldn't quite get it done for the guys in green, the Queensland pairing of Josefsen with his WA counterpart in Josh Howat. Number 1 seeds at the lead. It's going to be Paul Burnett to serve. The triple threat. Quadruple threat, actually. He's young, he's handsome, he's smart, he's athletic. And to round out the handful of threats, he's also just a nice guy. Big swing from Josefsen, the big young lad, but it goes wide, doesn't take any of the block. I think he was going for a little finger there, but couldn't quite get it. And it's back out to a 3-point lead to the number 1 seeds. Your Australian Beach Volleyball Tour leaders in their black singlets. Another one goes long, almost into the comms box here at Sports Pres tent. Josefsen, the tallest member out there, but he just can't seem to get himself out of the sand to use his height and athleticism to the fullest of advantages. And they'll call a timeout. It's 7-11. How convenient out there as we go to a quick break.
Buddy, that one?
Oh, wow. What a big wingspan from McHugh, but that ball somehow doesn't find the court. That'll go down as the Lucas Josefsen winner, a tool off the block. Now he gets a chance to serve. Little jump float. 2-ball attack done in 2. As we touched on earlier, just the tempo of the game has increased somewhat from McHugh and Burnett, the number 1 seeds, the ranking of 1 in the country. I've just picked up the pace. As we mentioned, the tempo. And the tempo slows somewhat, but to the advantage of Josh and Lucas. And we'll go to a quick tech timeout here in the second set of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour Round 2 here in Mollymook.
Just reflection off the water. I said, look at the birds.
Back after a great word from our scape sponsors. What a place those scapes are. Speaking of scapes, what a lovely landscape we have here in Mollymook on the shores of the Shoalhaven Shire. And a pop out the top of the back from Paul Burnett. No good. Back after that tech timeout. A couple of points here for the guys in green. We got Josh Howat with the serve. He's from WA. Cracking young athlete from the AVA. As that one goes short off the tape. And that spike goes short in front of the defender with some heat. Conditions out here are overcast on the lighter side of mild temperature-wise. Quite pleasant, to be perfectly honest with you. Almost on the chilly side. But things will be heating up now and for the rest of the day is Lucas Josefsen tees off. Aiming for somewhere in Nowra. But gets the block. And tools off the side. Great. Great attack. You'll see that tempo change. He's so smart, Chris McHugh. Had a short bump set from Paul Burnett. That was a tactical play, but instead of burying that ball short and speeding it up, he actually took the ball a little later, pushed it long into the corner and used that wrist snap to let it drop. Perfect. You don't need to tell me to tell you that. Top spin, Chris McHugh. Goes a little higher, doesn't quite try to bury it. Great work on stretch, but just the lightest and slightest of net infringements from Chris McHugh on the block. It was a tight set from Josh Howat, and Lucas Josefsen used it quite well. And Chris just getting a little too excited. Jump serve from Josh. Finds the net. 3-point lead. 20 points have been played since we saw the same deficit. It was 5-2 at the start of the set. We now find ourselves 15-12. Nice swinging serve. 2-ball goes short, easily defended and put away on 2 from Chris McHugh. That is a swinging jump serve. Nicely done. Smart, again, from Chris McHugh. Leaving the power game up to Paul on jump serve. He's in the longest part of the court there. We got 8x8. 64 square metres to work with. And he's got the deep right top corner for the service action. Going to the opposing corner. The longest part of the diagonal. But also using the advantage of the wind if you can see the flags in the background. If he swings into it, it'll start to drop. He's got more court, more advantage. Using the conditions. Great defense. Oh, beautiful hand set from McHugh. And just a terrible, terrible spike from Paul Burnett. Thirteen serving 17, I should say. Ooh, and he finds it. Nicely done off the block. We've seen Chris and Paul mainly attack from either wide to the stick quite quickly, spreading the court and the blocker opening up some angles, or fast inside that middle part of the court. And that one going almost halfway between, just opening up a new angle for him. Speaking of opening up new angles, Howat goes inside the block and short of the defender with a nice roll shot. Easy done. Still a 4-point buffer they have to make up though. 14 serving 18. Crunch time for the guys in green. Overpass, swirly conditions. Easy done from Josefsen. 1 point back. 3 points the deficit, and they'll go to a quick timeout.
Mollymook Beach. Thanks for joining us here on this Saturday morning, day 2 of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour for the second round. This beautiful part of the world. We appreciate you opening up your community at this coastline. We'll take over for the next day and a half. Up there on the grass hill, guys, go and check out the South Coast Volleyball Association. Their barbecues are red hot and they're rocking for you. Bacon egg rolls, the best in the business, and so I have been told. They'll be here all day long with your sausage sizzle for lunch. They can do no wrong up there on the grass, so go and check them out. Go say good day to the South Coast Volleyball Association. Back here to the action, 7 court. Strong start out there, McHugh crunching across. 19 on the board. Back to the field.
Again, such a good swing from Howat. He's changing the tempo. He's changing the pace of the game to his advantage. Nicely done from the young man from Wawa land. Good to see here their borders are going to be opening up too. Happy for everybody involved. But they got a little bit of work to do here in the late stages, and that is not going to help. Fault right into the middle of the net, and that brings up match point. They got 4 of them. Can they spin to win? I know Chris McHugh loves a good spin. Can they do it? In 1. Top spin jump serve. Chris McHugh. Dealt with nicely. Good hand set. Big swing, big stuff block, and they've done it. Chris McHugh, Paul Burnett, the teeth and the tash, the #1 seeds. Beautiful work from them. Big thumbs up all round. Congrats to our duty officials. Obviously, Crimsy on top and Petey down on court side at #2. Well done to Josh Howat and Lucas Josefsen for pushing the tour leaders there. And congratulations to those guys, Chris McHugh, Paul Burnett. Done it in 2. Next up, we've got Isaac Carraher and Mark Nicolaides, fresh off a silver medal, a second place at Cobram in our first round of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour, taking on the might of Marty and Matt. Marty Kaufer, who joined us earlier, and his partner, Matt Abella, lads from Victoria.